Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to the scene for Living World of Darkness, New York, Rage Across New York. And in this scene, we have Dr. Mega, who, while being away from home for the past, I suppose, almost a month now, because he's taken up basically a living apprenticeship with Frozen Hammer, so he can learn blacksmithing and that craft. And it's kind of like it's all encompassed him. It's like the rest of the world is kind of like faded away, but he's been dragged back viciously because of all these texts about his daughter Callie, and he's coming back home to see what she's like, but he's purposely avoided, even though he's very guilty about this, the past 2 nights because it's been a blue moon where there's a full moon 2 nights in a row, and his beloved little ball of rage has, well, she can't help it. She turns into Krynos on a full moon and can be quite, well, angry all the time. So he's waited till she might be a little bit more level headed. But he's not been back home for ages. So he comes back home to the apartment, lets himself in and goes up the stairs and he opens up his apartment door on the fifth floor.
What Dr. Mega finds inside is the telltale signs that a Krynos Garu has been living here for the past few days. There is a copious amount of black and white fur all over the couch. There's little scuff marks and claw marks on the floor where feet have scruffed across it and put indentations and scratches on the hardwood. Anywhere where there's carpet, there might be little bits of it torn up where toenails or talons have gotten caught in the material. The remote is sort of cracked, but not broken. The kitchen itself, certain drawers and cabinets have small claw marks on them, where somebody was obviously very gingerly trying to open the various things without leaving huge scrape marks. The refrigerator, not so lucky. There's about 3 rather large claw marks across the front of it. But other than that, it doesn't look like too much of the stuff out in the main living area has been destroyed. Just a little bit scuffed up.
Okay, so he'll walk around the apartment, just looking, running his hand over the various claw marks. It might matter on his breath, sweet thing. And then he'll go into his bedroom.
In his bedroom, everything looks to be in order. Some of the pictures that are hanging on the walls might be a little bit askew, but it probably doesn't take him long to notice that there is a large hole in the wall that kind of spans the area between Callie and Mega's room.
Holy crap! Mega will go over to the hole and just standing away from it, look in and look into Caddy's bedroom.
There's a towel tacked up over it on her side.
He sees the towel. Okay, and then he'll go back into the main room of the apartment and go to Caddy's door and knock on the door.
The door, more or less, kind of. You realize that it's not really secured. It sort of almost falls off its hinges.
Hey, sweet pea, you in there?
You hear kind of a groan from inside, sort of. What?
It's me. It's your dad. I mean, how are you? I'm messing for eight. Is it right to
You hear
come in?
grumbling. Come in. You just hear grumbling into what sounds like a pillow.
Mega will very gently open the door and put it so it doesn't fall off its hinges, and just turn it around and breast it, and then look in her room. What does he
The
see?
room is in utter shambles. The dresser has been split down the middle through sheer blunt force. The bed frame torn apart. The armoire. Basically, she tore the entirety of her room up, and she is currently sort of in a nest of sort of ripped and shredded blankets and pillows that survived, and sort of laying there in the most ungraceful fashion that she is known to sleep in on the torn up mattress, sort of wrapped up in a duvet or a down comforter, and she just looks tired, to say the least.
Mega will walk in and obviously see this, and then he's going to sit down on the floor next to where she's sleeping, and just sit there with his kind of like leaning back against the wall with his legs crossed. So he's close enough to reach out to her if he wants to, but he's just standing there giving her own space. It's been a rough 2 nights.
And she'll open her eye, or one eye, and sort of lift up the hair out of it. Yeah, it was. I made the mistake of trying to take a shower in Krinos.
Never mind. You know, when you first moved in here, I was actually finally managed to buy this place. Thank God, I'll never get my deposit back now.
Yeah, I had a rough night. The night that that all this happened. And she just kind of sits up and gestures to the room.
Mega will look down at his daughter and say, "I'm so sorry I haven't been around, sweet pea. It's been wrong of me not to be here with everything that's happened recently."
Well, where the hell have you been? Like, I called the hospital like 3 times, and they said you hadn't been in like a month.
I'm having a sabbatical from being a doctor for a little while.
And you couldn't show up and check in on your daughter after she gets divorced? She
I
says that with more spite than she means to.
when she says divorced, like Mega will have to hold back almost like a thankful breath of fresh air out that he's now not father-in-law to Vale anymore, even though it's got more tragic since that. Um, and I've I was thinking of ways how I could be of more help to the set. Obviously, being a kinfolk, it's limited. I mean, I can now sidestep, but to be honest, that's more dangerous than useful. I mean, I've already been caught in the gauntlet once, and I always need a guru to hold my hand when I do it safely. So I thought maybe I should learn how to, well, it sounds stupid really, but blacksmithing for the set. I know that there's been kinfolk in the past that when they get to a certain level are available or able to make things that Guru can.
That's true.
A long, long time ago, I know, well, when I was very, very young, back up home up north, there was a kinfolk, and he would actually make, well, I think he made one glaive for the separate there. And it's a talent that the nation needs, and it's a very useful skill just for anything. Well, just not just weapons. You can make other things. I could make you arrowheads, but I don't know. I've gone to the forge in the Scepter Green and spoken to Freya Frozenhammer, and I'm basically a living apprentice pretty much. And I can't explain it. It's just that it seems like no time has gone past at all. I've just been there working, learning every day, and it kind of consumed me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, baby.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I was, well, with your condition, I was a little scared to come back those past 2 nights.
I've never hurt any of my family members. Ever.
I've seen you hurt yourself when we had the argument and you fell face first and kissed concrete. I
Knew you
thought
were going to bring that up.
I thought it'd be maybe not to, I don't know, antagonize you or bring up any strong feelings if you're like that. Oh, it's a full moon anyway.
Did you hear about Vale?
I've heard.
Shakes her head. Idiot. He's such a fucking idiot.
I, Val was Val, really. I respected him greatly because well, he looked after his family and he's very good at what he did. And he obviously made a lot of money. But I don't know. All of the backasses, I mean, they seem to be a little, I hate to say it, but broken.
Yeah, that was a very tedious time of my life.
And I mean, how did it hit you when he obviously, well, he killed himself ritually? So he died with honor in Guru Nation.
She points at the sad state that her room is in. All things considered, pretty well.
I mean, have you spoken to, are you still in contact with his family, with his father, with his cousin?
No, he burned that bridge for me. I don't want to be involved with them.
And
Besides, they have someone to look to. He has a widow.
I heard that as well. It seems that when his family moved in, they just, even though they were saying how they were traumatized, they couldn't handle the company of Guru, they seem to be shacking up with everyone they could. I mean, even Nico has gone through 2 gurus so far, I think.
Gonna have to start the Bacchus X support group.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do that. But it's a dangerous line they're going on, and I mean, well, just when you talk about relationships, love affairs, marriages, people get very possessive and they get very, very emotional. If they go around stoking everybody's fires, it's going to come back on them.
That's why you and Leah are smart.
How so?
You guys don't just ruffle everybody's feathers just for the hell of it, just because you have something to prove.
Vel was insane in that respect. Some of the things I heard he did with attacking Guru, he seemed like he had a death wish.
Maybe so.
But hey,
Maybe so.
you live and you learn, and you're still very, very young. I mean, most people aren't even married until they're like 5 or 6 years older than you. So, or even older, it doesn't matter. I mean, take it as a life experience. And you got to go around Europe as well.
I did get to do that.
I haven't spoken to you about that. How was Greece?
My family was happy to see me over there. Vale's family was a bit more spirited than I thought. Um, Yeah, it was something, all right.
I'm glad. I'm glad you traveled. I mean, most Americans these days don't even have a passport, so you see more of the road than most people.
That much time on a plane was, now that I think about it, probably not the best thing. A rage-filled full moon on a metal tube that's traveling at 600 miles per hour at 45,000 feet.
Well, I hope you planned against that and just didn't leave it to luck.
I kept the fire water running, so to speak.
Well, you're back now.
In more ways than one, I'm home.
I'm
She kind
glad you.
of looks at all the mess around her.
Well, you're always welcome here, sweet pea. Although I did initially have plans to let Katori stay here for a while. He wants to try and get some Hamid ID, and the best way to do that is for him to have a fixed address and pay some kind of bill, and then he can go and get a photo and get whatnot and do whatnot. So you might have a roomie soon. I don't know. I have to talk to him about it first.
Hmm. A lupus.
A lupus. Well, he's living in New York, which is probably one of the most urban cans there are. So at least he's learning. I mean, I've not met this other lupus. What is it? Smiles or however it is.
You know that Smiles is a red talon, right?
I know he's a red talon. I know he ripped up one kinfolk already. So there's a lupus that I will try to avoid. And if I do ever speak to him, I'll be my most respectful.
Just remember that human ideas are bad and that Hamids are stupid, and if you show that you accept that, he'll probably be fine with you.
Oh, well, I mean, from talking to other Guru in the Sept, he wants to be Den Father, doesn't he? Which seemed a bit, well, homicidal at first, really seeing how hardcore it is. But then when talking to other people, they had the opinion that at least he can teach Guru to be more in tune to the wolf spirit, the wolf side, which Hamids do let go of.
Well,
But, but he will have to learn and adapt. If he's still running around hating all of humanity in a year's time, it's probably best he leaves.
well, given that he's a red talon, I'd say he's probably one of the most compromising red talons I've ever met, considering I've only met a handful, and they're not exactly jolly fellows. Smiles is okay. He's never attacked me. And when he was a Cleith, he still respected me when I gave him orders. So
I think that's where people like Val, they seem to get stuck in their own kind of point of view. They become blinkered. He'd always talk about how things are unfair, how people are mistreated. But if you actually look at the way Guru society is structured, yes, I mean, it's a wolf pack with alphas and betas. I mean, it's a hierarchy going from the top to the bottom. I mean, once you know the rules and you know the people, it's not that hard and it's not that oppressive, really. And with a lupus like the Smiles there, I'm sure if you don't go up to him and start saying all he stands for is wrong, then it should all be fine, like you said.
he seems to tolerate most of the Hamids in the Sept as long as they aren't too weaverish. how he gets along with Dragos, or even stays in the same area as Dragos, bewilders me.
Has he actually met Dragos?
I don't know. I know Smiles has. Have you?
I met Dragos once. He seems to be more interested in his little computer game than me. But he's a very odd fish, though.
He's our Theurge in the Dead Rabbits. Just kind of with a grimace.
Well, he must be of some use if he's in your pack.
He makes Chameleon happy. She shrugs.
Well, as long as your beloved comedian's happy, then that's all good.
Yeah, yeah. How did things go with the cockroach spirit?
Things went fine. I mean, there is that guru lawyer that came in from out of town briefly and left. He basically, well, he's a Ferg as well, and he, with Aaron, called up Cockroach and and appeased the spirit for me, really. And I'm paying homage to the guru by looking after his kinfolk. They're a bunch of, well, pretty much gangster types, really, around the area. If they actually get cut up or shot up, then I can actually help them rather than go to them to go. But
You finally became a dirty doctor.
well, with our society, that's kind of the best place for me, sadly.
It may not pay well, but you're becoming more and more indispensable to us. Well, to everybody besides me and Leah.
To everyone that can't heal themselves with, well, the kinfolk anyway, not the guru.
Callie nods as she finally stands up. See that she's wearing like these rolled legged and rolled waistbanded sweatpants that look like they've been worn for about 5 or 6 days.
Have you left the house at all recently?
Twice.
Is there any food left?
Leah's been keeping me fed, and she'll kind of walk into the kitchen. And she'll gather some ingredients up out of the fridge and start the stove, and I'm sure Mega starts to grimace. However, wow. Within about 20 to 30 minutes, Callie has put together what I could only describe as being a rice, chicken, and spices. A very nice medley that has a very, very wonderful smelling sauce.
And will she just lay this down on the table for them to eat, or will they just
Oh no, she could eat the whole thing herself.
eat the whole thing herself? Okay.
Of course she's going to lay some out for him. What kind of a monster do you think she is?
As he's preparing this food, Mega will just look astonished and just think, oh my god, she's broken the Mega family curse and she can actually cook. And he'll just look down at her and say, what have you done with my daughter? This isn't you. And he'll,
What?
how come she can cook like this now? What happened?
I practiced.
Oh, well, practice makes perfect.
I also watched a lot of Food Network when I was living at the other place.
Okay.
It's
Well,
not so hard once you get the hang of it and you're not scared to death that you're going to blow the house up, I guess.
well, I'm glad you ran through that stage at Vale's place and not here. But no, it's great. I mean, if you can feed yourself, I mean, that's pretty much half your life solid.
Well, now I'll make somebody a good catch someday.
You were always a good catch, and you always will be, sweet pea.
Oh, I don't know about that. Apparently, I'm too self-absorbed and too into my work to be a good match for anybody. At least how Vale put it.
The Vale was a suicidal kinfolk that was raging against his society, so don't pay too much attention to what he said.
She'll take a bite out of it and then look up at him. Do you think I was being unfair? Focusing on my duties as a keeper? Working from dawn until dusk?
Maybe you understand why your mother didn't spend so much time with you when you were smaller. We all love our families, but then duties and the war comes first. I think a lot of people forget that. It's horrible, and I wish it wasn't true, but that's the way it is. That's why family is so important. You've got to be able to grasp the moments you can, when you can.
But was I being unfair?
No,
That's what he said. You're being unfair to me. I need you and you're not here. I was the bad guy.
you weren't being unfair, sweet pea. Just next time next time you get married, make sure you just you know the person first. Don't do it in about a week or so. How long was it from you met him to how long you got married? Something.
5 days?
Yeah, take that as a life lesson. When we
Did
had
you fall head over heels for Mom when you guys first hooked up?
yeah, but that was kind of a teenage summer romance, really. No one was really thinking ahead, and she didn't even tell me about you.
Well,
Just next time, if it's not arranged, just get to know the person first. When I met up with him, he was talking to me about everything, and I said to him that I'd give him more time if he was around in about a month's time. I think he lasted a bit longer than that, but not much. But he was trouble for you. He did cause you pain. He did cause you dishonor. So it's sad that he had to take his own life as he did, but I'm glad that you're not connected with him anymore.
yeah. I should probably talk to this Annalise woman. His grieving widow.
Maybe give her a little bit more time. I mean, still very recent. Val took his own life.
Yeah, maybe, but I want to talk with her.
What will you say?
I don't know. There's part of me that wants to call her a homewrecker. I know that. Another part of me that wants to thank her profusely for basically getting a very problematic situation out of my life.
I think both of those emotions and feelings could become quite explosive.
No, it's not all that bad. I mean, probably a little bit jaded that she's a Fenrir, but at the same time, she suffered loss too.
As she did. God knows what kind of power Val had over you women. Did he really smell that good?
Kelly kind of widens her eyes a bit and takes a bite of food as she just kind of nods her head.
Oh well, that's the blessing and curse for kinfolk that are particularly pure blood, I suppose.
You're not all that far off from that, you know. You should be
Well,
beating off, or having me fend off these would-be suitors with a stick.
I just I'm very careful when it comes to having another relationship with a guru female. That's all.
You know, I heard rumors that there was this Shadow Lord, Philodox, that had said to somebody in passing that she was sweet on you at one point.
Really? I do remember a shadow lord that was in the set for a while. She never said that to my face. Although she did open my eyes to potential ways that the worm could hurt people. So
My dad, the player.
I wouldn't say that.
How's Brandy?
Brandy's fine, to be honest. I haven't seen much of her really either.
Maybe it was
It's
the breadcrumbs.
I don't think it was the breadcrumbs.
It was totally the breadcrumbs. Totally.
I know you don't like her, but
I don't like her. It's not that I don't like her. I don't like her with you. Because you could do so much better.
well, at the moment, she's the best thing for me. She's just an escape from, well, work in the nation. She did something different.
You know who could make your time in the nation a lot better?
Who?
Wasp Stinger.
She could.
She's, she's good looking. I mean,
She's,
yeah, she's got a scar, but
I got nothing against scars, sweetie.
then you should definitely take her on a date.
Well, we'll see. Let me get this whole.
Might be, and she kind of sits back in the bar stool and puts her arms over top her head, rest them on top of her scalp. Might be a good way, to make amends to, the child that you neglected for like a month.
You're turning into a local family planner, aren't you?
Well, I've had my fair share of relationship experience now. She kind of like, breathes on her fingernails and then rubs them against her shirt. I'd like to think that I'm an expert now. Fully qualified to be a matchmaker.
Not really.
Yes. As now I know exactly who and what not to match with other people.
Well, I'll give you one thing. Wastinger is a very capable and attractive guru of high rank. So she is just, well, I won't say I don't like her because I do, but we'll just have to see.
Hmm. I remember Mom telling me, well, we'll just have to see when she was being non-committal about something.
Well, we will leave it at that. Who knows? Maybe if I could get enough this blacksmithing business, I can make her a clay for a wedding present or a proposal present.
I'm gonna roll manipulation subterfuge to try and hide that, which he's already thinking about. And Callie's got 3 dice in that pool. So yeah, it's really clear that she's already thinking about just starting to put that little rumor out there.
He'll look look at his daughter and just sigh. It's like, if you try and break a bird out of its shell, you often kill it. It doesn't help it. You've got to let it hatch itself.
Meh. Meh.
Meh.
Oh, how much, aside from Brandy, how much dealing have you had with the changelings?
Um, None, really. I mean, the last time I was in a room with more changelings, that's when Travis was there, and he dragged us out because we was in, well, demon territory.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
So,
that. I think that was the night when you two ended up having a fist fight in
me and
Crime.
Travis had a fist fight?
I think, were you? Do you remember? You lost your shit and you turned into Krynos and you screamed at each other in this room? Oh, you
Oh,
might have been
right.
enchanted at the time. No, you're enchanted afterwards, I think. So you won't remember that unless you wrote it down. I still won't remember.
You know, I told some of your neighbors you owned a tiger. That was the sound they heard. I
I
don't think they
think
believed me.
I think maybe the reason why I could get this place so cheap was after you moved in all the noises. God knows what I think happens in this place now. But who cares anyway? You don't have to see them. Leave them alone, they leave us alone.
Just wanted to know if you had any friends, you know, in Changeling Society outside of Brandy.
No, not really. I've met a few, but that was quite a while ago now, a few months.
Because one of them is about ready to die.
Why? What's it done?
Pulled a gun on me.
Really? That's a
Mm-hmm.
stu-
Gonna track. Oh, he works for, or well, I guess he worked for Vale. Now he works for my sister and Annalise.
Well, why did this guy put a gun on you anyway?
Brian was enchanted, and me and Emmett were trying to get him home. He was being belligerent because he didn't know any better. He thought a carousel was alive. He was
Huh?
trying to free these poor and impaled horses, according to what we wrote down. And so Emmett and I got a little short with him, and you know had to, or we tried to forcibly remove him, and then the changeling tried to get up in our faces. I got back up in his, and then he pulled a gun and fired some kind of lightning gun out and fired it up into the air.
A lightning gun? You've got to be careful with these changelings. They kind of, from what I've gathered, they don't seem overtly that strong, but they have got ways where they can just fuck people up without them even realizing.
Well, I've decided that unless Travis gives me explicit orders not to, I'm probably gonna murder this changeling, this Timmy, as he goes by.
Well, be careful. I mean, you don't want to know what the changelings on your ass. You could start a war or something.
Apparently, my buddy Valerius is high ranking, so probably not something I have to worry about if I've got political friends.
Well, check with your buddy Valerius first.
I'd have to cook for him and Eve both.
Well, cook them a nice dinner and then maybe they'll let you kill one of their own kind.
Still kind of want to kill this guy.
You let that leech go. So why not the changeling?
Because the leech didn't pull a gun on me.
The leech was a leech. The leech was worm.
The leech caught me in a transitional phase of my life, and I told him if I ever saw him again, I would kill him.
Fair enough. I'm One of the reasons why I was helping out Katari is that he's teaching me a little bit more. He taught me a right the other day, Breath of Gaia. It helps me with Eve's touch.
Callie would kind of nod, impressed.
And he's also teaching me, well, I've been learning more about the spirits thanks to Cockroach and other Guru. And he's advised me to learn some about the worm. So I'm starting to get a little bit more information. Not enough to make me go crazy, but just enough so I can see the signs and defend myself when I have to. It seems with the leeches, they're quite tragic in a way. They don't even know what they are.
Well, I killed a bunch of them.
Really? How many?
3 or 4, from everything I'm told.
Told? Why can't you remember?
I guess you didn't hear about me going into thrall of the worm.
No, I did. That was stupid of me to clunk into the conversation like that.
She just kind of pats him on the head. It's okay.
I mean, how do you feel?
Like one of those kinfolk back in the hive.
I mean, don't talk about it unless you want to, because I know, well, some guru don't even, well, they go the way of Vale straight afterwards. I'm glad you're strong enough to stay with us. After that. You
Well,
can,
I wouldn't necessarily call myself particularly strong-willed. If I had been, I wouldn't have fallen.
you don't, any guru can go into the Father Worm, it seems. It's the double-edged sword of rage, I suppose. It's a weapon you can use, but it can take you over.
You know what's really eerie about it?
Well,
In that moment, for a brief time, you feel so empowered.
I can imagine.
And that's the scary thing. It makes you realize why the spirals are the way they are.
Well, there's a drastic downside to being a spiral dancer, from what I've been told.
Well, should go without saying, but yeah. It's. Her eye kind of twitches.
You okay, sweet pea?
Yeah, I'm good.
In a strange way, I suppose the way Gaia is now, it's all out of sync. The way the worm shouldn't be like this. The way the Weaver is, the Weaver shouldn't be like this. The way the Wild is, the Wild should be much stronger than it is. The Wild, the Weaver, and the Worm are a trinity. They're meant to be together. Maybe the Frau represents the fact that in days gone by, before the Worm got sucked up by the Weaver and its web, it's all connected. I suppose part of the job is fighting this war once the worm has been defeated is to try and, well, I suppose heal it, get it back to how it was.
Yeah. The sad thing is that all the agents of the worm are almost victims in some sense. I guess getting
Well,
closer to what they are, I've started to empathize with the spirals. I feel bad for them.
well, feeling bad for them is one thing. They are tragic creatures, but they've all got broken minds, you know. You suffered from the worm and you were strong enough to come back from it, but when they dance that spiral, they never come back.
Yeah, no, it just seems almost kind of rotten that we have to put them down like dogs when they have another side to them. They're capable of being fixed if they have a human mentality.
Who knows? Maybe in the future there could be a black sparrow that could come back. I mean, I don't know that much about. Well, an expert in most of. I'm sure there's at least one where someone gets redeemed.
And look to the children of Gaia for that one.
Well, certainly not get a Fenris or a Tam.
Fenrir are not exactly all about rehabilitation, Dad.
Well, no, you know that much.
So, I was thinking about catching a shower and then. Can we just do something, me and you?
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, you get first dibs on the shower, but afterwards I use it. I'm still cutting grime from the forge.
I was thinking maybe we could go to Long Island and maybe go to Long Beach or something like that.
That sounds great. Just a quiet afternoon, evening off with the family, away from all our troubles and woes.
She's gonna stand up and just walk over to Mega and just hug him really tightly.
Mega will hug back.
And I think there we can end our scene. Thank you for watching.